Hey guys, what's up? Lewin here at GarageBand and Beyond. Welcome back. So today I'm going to be talking about how to record drums using two microphones. A lot of you out there, myself included, we have interfaces with two channels, and you got to work with what you have. But I will tell you that the two microphone on drums method was proven a long time ago with Led Zeppelin. They used to use this method a lot. And if you think their drums sound bad, well, then you should go to another channel. Anyway, so the two microphones that I'm going to talk about today are the CAD Trion 8000 and the E100S. Now, on the kick drum, I was using the Trion 8000. And, the rule of thumb with this method is sighting and lining up the top of the microphone with the top of the kick drum, right? And then, especially with this microphone, the proximity effect, meaning, the distance from the sound source, is very pronounced in this. And this microphone really likes to be a little bit, at a distance. So for the kick drum sound, I was right around 2 feet away. And, like I said, top of the microphone was lined up with the top of the kick drum. I had it set in the cardioid pattern, and that was pretty much it. Now, the second microphone to capture the rest of the drums, snare, hi-hat, floor tom, toms, all that kind of stuff, the E100S. I chose this microphone because it has the lowest signal-to-noise ratio on the market, meaning that when you plug this thing in, it's totally dead silent. It's not going to add any hiss, any additional like weird high-end sounds. Especially when I'm talking about cymbals and snares and stuff like that, additional high-end coming from hiss from a microphone is, it's awful, and it's really difficult to deal with. So this is a brilliant microphone. So the way I set this one up was actually up above the drummer's head. However high my microphone stand would go, pretty much is how I had it. And I had it face down more or less at the snare. I had it slightly kicked over to the floor tom because in my situation, I was getting too much of the hi-hat. And she was using the floor tom a lot, actually. So I wanted to make sure I got a good picture of the floor tom. So again, up as high as your microphone stand can go, up over the head of your drummer, face down more or less at the snare, and then you can affect it, the angle if you want to capture more or less of something. So that's the placement rule. Now, one thing I'm going to add is, we did record this song. And the song that I'm talking about is a song that I posted a couple weeks ago. Sorry, I'm an asshole. There's a link below. If you don't know what I'm talking about, click on it, and you will know what I'm talking about. So anyway, one of the problems we were having is that, there in my room, there's no treatment. There's no acoustic treatment. So the snare was really bright, and we had to come up with a way to dampen it. We did try throwing a towel over it. It was just too much. So what we ended up doing is taping some paper towels to the snare drum. A couple. I think we had like 3 or 4 layered. And it just really helped get rid of some of that, the brashness, the harshness that snare drum was producing in my bedroom. So that all being said, let's take a close look at the tracks themselves. And here we are in my GarageBand project. And I have these two channels soloed out. So here's what the drums sound like all by themselves. Right? So I think pretty good drum sound. You can hear everything. I can hear the toms. I can hear you can hear everything. So let's talk about how I dealt with the kick drum first. So here's the kick drum all by itself. Right? Oops. So nice big kick drum sound. So let's look. I was using the T-Rax 3 program from IK Multimedia. I did make a video about this. Check out my channel for that. I love this program. It is an amazing addition to GarageBand and has made all my recordings just sound a lot more professional. I'm still learning how to use it. And I don't know. I've been using it, and I love this thing. So anyway, this is a multi-band limiter that is really nice in this program. You're able to get a little bit of EQ out of it, and this is actually where I did most of the EQing for the kick drum. Nice, medium to fast release time. The overload was set at 2 dB because I really wanted it to be, have like sort of a relatively aggressive, beefy tone. This started as the bass compression 2, but then, I just sort of used that preset and then manipulated it the way I wanted. Now, the EQ, as you can see, I did a bunch of stuff here as well. It doesn't register on this line. Sorry, you can't really, I don't know why. I haven't, like I said, I'm still learning this program. But let me zoom in here and show you what I did. So, here are the settings if you have this program, and you can see where in the line they are. And so, this is the way I had that set up. The EQ is really going to be, up to you. I can't give you like a formula, but I'll tell you that if you're going to be using this 2 microphone method, you're going to be relying on both microphones for the kick drum. Even though you have one dedicated to the kick drum, the other one, the overhead, is definitely going to be capturing that sound as well. So for the Trion 8000, the one that was right on the kick drum, I really relied on it for the beef of that kick drum sound. Wasn't really looking for the point in this channel. And when I say the point, I mean the point, the tone of sort of the beater of the kick drum on the head makes its own sound, and it's something really important when you are recording a kick drum. That attack sound when the beater hits the head is an extremely important sound in the recording process for the kick drum. Last thing I used was a compressor, of course, and I really pretty much compressed the shit out of it. Really fast attack, thanks to Jack Conti. He and I had a bunch of conversations about this, and he really, taught me a lot. Really fast attack, equal, slightly more on the release. You can see the attack here is 0.16 milliseconds. The release is at 30 milliseconds. The ratio, I don't need to tell you the numbers. You can see them there. But yeah, I did really push the compression on this. Again, working that sort of aggressive kick drum sound. So that's the kick drum. No reverb or anything on it. Just a nice boomy sound. Now, overhead microphone that captured everything else. This is where I was working and really relying on that point from the kick drum sound to come into play. So let's listen to it by itself. And so you'll hear the kick drum. Listen for it. Right? So you can hear it in there, and it's not beefy at all. I really made a great effort to actually remove a bunch of the low end from this track because I didn't want this to be beefy. I knew that the other microphone was gotten plenty of beef, and I also didn't want any of the drum sounds to interfere with the bass tone because it was an upright bass, which is still sort of a challenge for me to record. I'm still learning how to do that, but it takes up a lot of room in the mix, an upright bass. So anyway, the way I did this guy, you can see I did a little bit differently. One thing, which is key to this tone was I used a nice bright sounding reverb, pretty short time on it. This is another IK Multimedia product. Their reverb units are beautiful things, and I will be making a video on this, but I need to learn how to use it a little bit more. I've been, experimenting with it and playing with it. But as you can see here, I had it, set pretty short. Let me play it with and without this for you, so just so you can hear what the reverb was really doing. So yeah, that reverb is adding quite a bit of tone to my drum sound. And it's something that I've talked about in my other videos. Reverb can really affect the tone. And I like, personally, especially with drums, I like bright, live sounding drums. So that's that. As far as the compressor is concerned, again, this is another one of the T-Rax thing from IK Multimedia. Nice, fast attack time, about, the same thing on the release time, nice quick thing. Input, I had this, pushing 3.7 dB. I didn't want to get over 4 dB for this, especially when cymbals and things were coming into play. It was, getting a little ugly. So compression sort of set around here. You know, I had the output. This is something actually I should talk about. Let's look at this. So check this out. The input drive was set higher than 12 o'clock, and the output was actually set lower. This is really going to ensure that the compressor is doing a bunch of work, and that you're, you know, really sort of squishing all those peaks and valleys nicely. But you can see it's not too much. So you're not going to get that like overly compressed sound, which can, to me personally, can be very fatiguing to my ears. I've gotten a lot of trouble by telling other engineers that snare drum's fatiguing to my ears. Anyway, that's a long story. The other thing that I added was just this thing. This is one of the vintage EQs. It's emulating a vintage Pultec. And this is one of those things that you just turn it on, and whatever it's on, it's always going to sound better. It's a very simple, transparent sounding thing. This is worth you hearing on and off. This is on. Right, so you should have been able to hear, especially if you're wearing headphones right now, it should make a difference. You definitely hear it. It's the slightest difference, but it really adds a whole new color to the tone of the drums. And I personally love this EQ. It is brilliant. Now, you know, a lot of you are not going to have these things from IK Multimedia, all this T-Rack stuff. If you don't have it, you know, you can buy these modules individually. They're around $100 each. I definitely recommend buying this one that I was just talking about. This thing is brilliant. And then the other one that I really loved is this particular compressor. It's the classic compressor, and it's, oh man, it's awesome. It's awesome thing. The stereo enhancement knob on here is genius and really makes a big difference. Now, the last thing on this overhead mic was another limiter, and I really did work this pretty hard. You can see I have the ceiling wide open, but I was pushing the input up to 4 dB. Let me show you what it sounds like with and without it. Right? So it's another one of those components that's like, it's a very slight addition to the tone, but a very nice, and really, I think it really adds some warmth to the brightness, if that makes any sense to anybody. So, you know, let me just show you what this thing actually sounded like with nothing. So let's go back a little bit. Right? That's everything off. Let me turn it back on. Off. You know, I mean, even by itself, it's not an awful tone. Definitely needed a little bit of help, especially, you know, in the mix of the whole thing. But the point of this whole video is to remind you guys, you can definitely record drums with 2 microphones. This is a very proven method. It works really well. If you have any questions about this, feel free to email me. I answer as many of the emails as I can. As quickly as I can. So anyway, that's pretty much it. If you want to hear the whole song, click the link below. Thanks. You know, actually, a lot of you have watched it and reposted this for us, and we've been really happy with the response. So, you know, feel free. Put that video on your Facebook pages. We're pushing it as hard as we can. We think it's a winner, you know. So anyway, I hope you enjoyed the video. Please subscribe to my channel, and I will see you guys very soon. All right? Have a good day.